Welcome back to the Dylan Shea channel. Today we are doing a game week 4 now roundup of the Premier League. If you don't know how this works, basically I go over the games I managed to watch, sort of not thoroughly in depth, just talk about them, and then towards the end discuss in briefly some of the other things that happened during the weekend, during game week 4 already. Let's start off with Wolves versus Newcastle. I thought it was quite an even contested game. Disagree with Ruben Neves that Newcastle just pumped the ball up the pitch and win second balls considering they had 64% possession. Also, I thought Newcastle played well. I thought Newcastle with the ball were actually really good. Sort of surprised me how good their passing was, and it wasn't just unnecessary passing, it was quite a good tempo as well. And there was a point in the game where they passed to the centre-back, the right-back passed to the centre-back, Trippier to Shaw, I think, and the Wolves players were just like, ugh, because, Newcastle were passing it around very, very well, probably tiring Wolves. Wolves went with a back four this game, back to a back four, even though I think their best game this season was against Spurs, where they played a back three. So interesting. However, the two centre-backs, Max Kilman and Nathan Collins, I think both are really, really good. And I actually thought Collins would be 25, Kilman would be 21. It's the other way around. Kilman's 25. Since when was Max Kilman 25? It's crazy. You look at that Wolves team, great keeper, very good back four, like the two centre-backs, Arik Johnny and Semedo. The midfield three I thought was very good, performed very well against Newcastle. Núñez looked good again, but that final third pass or decision making was off again. So something that he has to improve. I thought Ruben Neves was great. Many times just sort of played as like a deep line playmaker. Great. He was just spreading the ball really, really well. And ultimately it should have been 2-0 Wolves. There was nothing wrong with the goal. I mean, the foul it wasn't a nudge in the back. It was a tap in the back, and Fraser's gone down looking for the free kick, and he's won the free kick. So, I mean, it was just so soft. It just definitely wasn't a free kick at all. It should have been 2-0 Wolves, and it was a great goal as well. I did think overall Newcastle were a bit better than Wolves, even though Wolves should have won the game 2-0. I thought Newcastle were very good, actually, to go away from home, be 1-0 down and come back from behind, to get a draw with goal of the season so far from St. Maximin. That technique is outrageous, isn't it? Absolutely outrageous. Which was the better goal? Ruben Neves, because that was a very good goal as well. But it has to be St. Maximin. The technique. I mean, when the ball is in the air and you've just perfectly... Look at his body shape as he hits the ball. It's perfect. It is perfect. What a player. I think he's one of the best wingers in the league. Yeah, unbelievable finish. Goal of the season so far. Will be tough to beat that because the technique is just unbelievable. I'd say Almiron was probably the best player on the pitch. I thought Almiron was by far the best player on the pitch. He was the one who looked like would get a goal. Obviously his end product isn't great, but his dribbling was fantastic. Made so much ground on the ball, worked really hard. Yeah, I thought he was definitely man of the match for me. They probably give it to St. Maximin because of the goal. They usually do. But for me, definitely Almiron. And that little lineup's the star for me means man of the match, by the way. Thought Sean Longstaff also came in and done a good job. There was a moment where it was a 2v1 and he defended brilliantly. But one of the reasons in my predictions I didn't have Newcastle fighting for top 6, and I think it showed in this game, is, let me just read some of the subs that Newcastle made. It was Jacob Murphy, Ryan Fraser, Elliot Anderson and Matt Targett. You're not going to get top 6 with that sort of bench. I know Isak is coming in and obviously he's a massive strength for Newcastle, massive signing, great player, but you cannot bring those players off of the bench consistently and expect results and expect them to change the game. They might every now and then, but consistently just cannot see them doing it. I thought there were positives for both sides. Newcastle, great passing, great control of the game, came back as well. Alan St. Maximin looking in great form. And for Wolves, I thought Wolves looked good. I thought the midfield looked good. And that counter-attack goal is more of what you want to see from Wolves that should have stood. You know, Pedro Neto running down the wing and across for Raul Jimenez. And in a different world where there's a competent referee, it's 2-0 Wolves. Let's go on to the next game now, Manchester United away to Southampton. And were Man United as good as they were against Liverpool? No, but they had to be up for that Liverpool game. Otherwise, some of them probably wouldn't have played for Manchester United ever again. But Manchester United were massively improved on their performances against Brighton and Brentford. They actually look a team now who's willing to put in the effort to try and get results, which they didn't before. Do I think Ronaldo's a part of that? And Maguire? Yes. There was a moment in the game actually where Ronaldo had a race with Salisu and Salisu just dusted him. And, you know, so there was a moment where I just thought, Ronaldo's he's just not that guy anymore. He's not Ronaldo. And everyone ages, it's natural, but it's just weird seeing it happen to, you know, arguably the GOAT. And it annoys me so much when people say it's not even a debate between Ronaldo and Messi, because it is. You know, he's still the highest goal scorer of all time, but he's not at this level anymore. He's just not. He's still a great goal scorer. He's still a great poacher in the box. He wins most headers. He still has a great leap. But as an actual footballer now, he's nowhere near the same player as he was. He hasn't even got the pace anymore, really. Maybe in little bursts, but no, he's just not the same player. And you know, I think we've seen since he's been benched, Bruno's performances have gone up, and that was a lovely finish, by the way. That is not an easy finish. If he misses that, it's fine, because that is a tough finish. To side foot that volley and into the bottom corner is just exquisite from Bruno. And is he back? Is Bruno back? It was very interesting actually, because Southampton were just so reliant on going down that right side with the Kyle Walker-Peters down there, Adam Armstrong was down there. But one interesting thing is that James Ward-Prowse happens to drop in these sort of what you would call De Bruyne areas, and so many times the layoff would be back and you'd see that sort of De Bruyne thing where first time cross, and we know James Ward-Prowse has a unbelievable cross on him, great delivery. This time didn't quite work, but it's why I have him in my FPL, because so many times they went down that right side. Most of their focus was down that right side, and they would just cut back. James Ward-Prowse with a cross, but Manchester United dealt with it quite well. I think we've seen why Man United are getting Antony, because Elanga is sort of just playing. He's not really involved. You can tell he's very out of his depth. And that's not me saying he can't be a good player in the future. I think we've seen glimpses of him being good. That goal against Atletico. But he's just not involved at the moment. He's way out of his depth. Jadon Sancho is showing him, you know, levels. You can see why Antony's coming in. And one thing that is going to annoy me about Antony, is that people are just going to label the price tag on him all the time. And, you know, that's not what football's about. This is one of the most entertaining players in world football. Is what football's about, entertainment. And if he doesn't score for a few games or assist, because we've sort of become really robotic in analysis now, it's all about goals and assists, that even if he plays really well, entertains the crowd, people will probably call it a flop. And I hope that doesn't happen. It will happen. It is guaranteed to happen, because he's a fantastic player. He really is. And I think he's going to be a success at Man United. Although you can't guarantee it, because no one's really a success at Man United, to be honest. I think that could work. I think they do need a new winger, and they've obviously got him in. Lots of money. Yes, it's a lot of money, but I hope people don't just sort of focus on that too much. Thought Bella Kotchap was my man of the match that game. I think they give it to Martinez. He was very good as well. But for me, Bella Kotchap saved it from being 2 or 3-0. There was some unbelievable tackles that he made. Although his finishing was dreadful. There was about 5 times he lined it up for a shot where just don't shoot, give it to James. But yeah, great performance from him. He was definitely my man of the match. I think if there's one thing we've learned from Man United over the past few weeks, it's Malacia has to start every game basically, because he's been so impressive. probably Man United's best player of the season so far. I think Varane and Martinez as well. Those three at the back have to play. They have to start. Don't think Dallo is guaranteed to start, but those three, the rest of them in defence, I think they are crucial to Man United winning football games. Let's go on to Man City versus Crystal Palace, of course 4-2. And if there's one thing that we've seen from this, I would probably say that both these teams are very serious. Palace are not a team to be messed with anymore. They are very, very good. They are there with the Newcastles, the West Hams. They're around that area. They're a very good football team. And same for Man City. They're extremely serious. They're a bit too serious, actually. I cannot see a world where they don't win this Premier League. I just can't see it. Onto Palace. I thought Palace, obviously they're playing a 5-4-1 against the bigger teams. I think that's how they're going to sort of play this season against teams that they think they can beat, which is most of the teams in the Premier League. Yeah, I think against those they'll play a 4 at the back, 4-2-3-1 maybe. But against the bigger teams, I think there'll be a 5-4-1 counter-attacking. You know, let's not forget Zaha didn't play Saturday, was it? Yeah, Saturday. And they still went 2-0 up. And that corner from Eze, by the way, I think I'll say it every single week that he's one of my favourite players in the Premier League. He's so good. The way he glides with the ball, his dribbling, he's just fun to watch, isn't he? His corner was unbelievable. And the head from Jurgen Anderson, who's also having an amazing season, it was perfect. Perfect goal from Palace. Should have been 3-0. I'll get onto the referees in a little bit towards the end of the video. But yeah, I thought Palace were good again. You know, they've been good in all of their games so far, but City were a joke. I know, I give Bernardo Silva man of the match. Could have been Haaland, easily. But, in my opinion, if there's no Bernardo Silva in that game, there is no chance Man City come back. It was him. Everything was coming down his side, basically. There were some moments where he looked like Messi. He was just unplayable at times. Wonderful player. Is he a top 15 player in the world? Probably. But I give him man of the match because he just seemed to be involved in most things that Man City did. He was the one creating things. Obviously Haaland, by the way, that third goal is a joke. It is an absolute joke. Do people understand how difficult that goal sort of is to do? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a striker muscle off a player like that in my life. He showed 4 very difficult skills in one goal. First one was the movement, the run. Second one was his pace. Third, strength. And then fourth skill was how clinical he was, the finishing. A fantastic goal from Erling Haaland. Hat-trick, top scorer in the Premier League. Any surprises? I thought Gundogan was great when he came on. One of the reasons, actually, as well, that I give Bernardo Silva man of the match is when you compare him to Foden and Mahrez, I know Foden got an assist, but apart from that, them two were they didn't really do much. When you look at what Bernardo Silva was doing, that's why I've sort of given Bernardo Silva man of the match, because he was just levels above those two, what they were doing. But Palace, I know they haven't got many points on the board, but they've had difficult fixtures. I think they'll be around the top 8, top 9 this season, like I put in my predictions. And yeah, they're just a very good team. I was very impressed with Czech Decore again, just one of those players who I heard he was good on the ball, but he's also shown that he can do the dirty work as well, put in tackles, interceptions. Doesn't mind playing in a low block as well and defending. Great sign of a Palace. And also Jeffrey Schlupp. Very good performance from him, by the way, who is probably the most underrated midfielder in the Premier League. Let's go on to Tottenham versus Nottingham Forest. And Conte was unchanged for this game. However, will he be next game? Because Son has been disappearing lately. I mean, this season he's been abysmal. He's been awful. He hasn't turned up. He goes through these spells where he just cannot touch a football. I don't understand it. His first touch is one of his weak points, but he has games, or like purple patches, where, well, the opposite of a purple patch, we just cannot touch a ball. Richarlison comes on. By the way, the most embarrassing reaction from the media I've ever seen in my life, from him doing a couple of kick-ups. I mean, yeah, people are acting as if he killed someone on the pitch. He did a couple of kick-ups, okay? Nothing serious. Just a bit of, it was funny. And then he got snapped, so don't worry about it. He got an assist, a great assist as well to Harry Kane, who goes even up on goals with Cole. what's his first name? Andy Cole. But for me, Spurs, it's not good enough. Too deep, way too deep. If you look at the average positions, I'll try and put them on the screen for you. They're just way too deep. You cannot counter. I do have a bit of sympathy for Son because, when you are that deep, how are you going to counter-attack? There was times where it was Kane or Son or Kulusevski, and there was like one other option with them against 4 defenders because everyone else is just so deep. Spurs were not like that towards the last 10 games of the season. They were obviously a bit more defensive, but they were pressing on the ball. They were wider, so Bentancur was looking better because he could play through the lines. You can't do that when everyone is so close. So they have to get further up the pitch. There has to be a bigger gap between players than what they were, because for 4 games now, Spurs haven't played well. Well, in one of them, the first day of the season against Southampton, they played well, but that is it. Spurs are very lucky to get 10 points. And Forest, on the other hand, were very, very good. The one thing I will give Spurs is defended well. Conte's made Spurs a very difficult team to beat, but you cannot carry on with that if you want aspirations like Conte does of winning a title or a trophy. I just don't think that works in the long term. Thought Brennan Johnson and Morgan Gibbs-White looked really good. Lingard now and then as well, linking up. He could have done a bit more though. The 2 fullbacks, I think, have proved that they're definitely Premier League quality, especially, both, not just Nico Williams, Toffolo as well on the other side. Yeah, they've looked really good. I thought Nico Williams did really well against Perisic. But yeah, I think Steve Cooper can be happy despite the loss. I just think, obviously, Brennan Johnson, Lingard and Morgan Gibbs-White they're just not Harry Kane or what Spurs have. Not that level. You will lose games, but I think they can take encouragement from it. And Joe Worrell, by the way, the best player on the pitch by far yesterday. Thought he was amazing. And like I said, I'll discuss Steve Cook's obvious red card towards the end of the video. Right, let's talk about the last game. Arsenal versus Fulham at the Emirates. Arsenal, again, it's got to be said, William Saliba is the bollocks, isn't he? Not just him though for Arsenal. Martin Odegaard as well, showing his class. Reminds me of David Silva, to be honest, with the left foot, the positions he picks up, the clever passes. There was a pass where Martinelli, I think it was to Martinelli, absolute joke of a pass. He has no right to be doing that. A special player for Arsenal. I thought he was a class above anyone on the pitch. 2 bad goals from Arsenal, let's be honest. They weren't good, but the goal's a goal. 4 out of 4 in the Premier League now, perfect. Got Aston Villa next. Massive opportunity to go 5 out of 5, which very scary as a Spurs fan, that. Very. I'm looking forward to them to play, a Liverpool or a City or a Chelsea, to see where they actually are. How good are they? Let's talk about Fulham. I thought Fulham were very good. To put that sort of performance in against Arsenal. So many so many sides that come up from the Championship. Whenever they go away from home against a big side, they just get pumped 4, 5, 6, 9-0 like we saw on the weekend. But Fulham, to stay in the game and go 1-0 up, show as much fight as they did, to me proves that I think they'll stay up in the Premier League. I just love how committed they are. Mitrovic getting a goal, I think he's already proved he's Premier League worthy now. 3 games into the season even, he's just looked so good. But to score at the Emirates as well, that's huge for him. And what does that take him to, 4 goals in the Premier League? Let's not forget Arsenal, who were worse last season than they are now, had the 3rd best home record in the Premier League. So for Fulham to go away and put a performance in like that is very impressive. And I think they are definitely, as it stands, the best team to come up from the Championship so far. Okay, we've discussed 5 of the games that I watched on the weekend. Let's go through some other things now. Let's start with the referees, because it was an awful weekend for referees. Just disaster classes everywhere. Let's start off, where do we even start? Let's start off with Steve Cook. Handball, denies a goal scoring opportunity with his hand, red card. Let's go to Wolves. Push in the back, it wasn't a push in the back. Fraser's clearly dived. Why are the refs looking at the monitor when, if they're guaranteed to change their mind, don't go to the monitor. If you're going to be a pussy and change your mind, don't go over there. Just say, sir, you've changed your mind already. Because that was not a disallowed goal. Disgrace from the referee. Fulham, Wolves should have got 3 points because of it, and they were robbed. Man United, I mean, McTominay's doing a freestyle with his hands in the box. How is that not a penalty? Clearly a handball. Crystal Palace, probably the worst one of the weekend. Why? The referee has just seen the Man City players with their hands up and just blown his whistle. What is the point? What's he doing? That should be 3-0 Palace, and Palace should probably come out of it, the Etihad, with 3 points. You know, so many teams this week robbed of points because of incompetent refereeing, which is something we've seen for years in the Premier League. And I actually think they've been good so far, but they've just massively let themselves down. Talk about Chelsea, Conor Gallagher again. I said last week, I don't think it's going to work at Chelsea. He's had a disaster, hasn't he? I mean, it's clearly a red card. Referee's got this one right. What is he doing? What is he doing? I don't think the role suits him. I just don't think anything there suits him. The play style, I don't like it. I just don't like him in a Chelsea shirt. I think he should move. I've heard Newcastle linked, Palace. Tell you what I think he would be perfect for, by the way. It's Manchester United. Because Casemiro in there, you know, you've got a really experienced player, someone, you know, a CDM, and then you could have got Gallagher then as a proper box-to-box player, pressing, going forward, coming back as well. I think that would be perfect, to be honest. But Leicester, embarrassing, to lose to 10 men. You know, it didn't seem as if Chelsea even just sat back. It just seemed it was an even game, and it's 10 versus 11, sort of sums Leicester up. And as it's going, I don't think Rodgers should be sacked, but he probably will if he carries on like this for another 7-8 games. I just can't see him lasting there, to be honest. Sterling, 2 goals as well. I think he's been brilliant, actually, so far this season. I know that's only his first goal, but his overall play for Chelsea, he's looked by far the most threatening player by far in every single one of their games. West Ham getting their first win as well. I am sweating, by the way. It's boiling in this room. West Ham getting their first win of the season, 1-0 win over Aston Villa. There's a team who you want to play right now, it's Aston Villa. I mean, Gerrard, I mean, there's got to be good odds that he's sacked first because it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. Massive underachievers, you know, by the looks of it again for this season, Aston Villa. They were last year, and it's looking even worse this year. Brighton, currently 4th in the Premier League. What an achievement so far. Every game they've looked fantastic. By the way, Trossard, underrated. He's a baller. He's an absolute baller. They're just a really good team. They just fight for everything. They're just really good players. Graham Potter, he's just working miracles. And Everton draw, golden goal, first of the season. Is that a come and get me Chelsea sort of thing? But they ended up drawing the game. I think Everton are in trouble, actually, this year. I put them 13th in my predictions, but yeah, that's not aging. That's aging like milk, quite frankly. You know, the Gordon thing, by the way, just makes no sense on either end. Chelsea, it's too much money for a winger. You already have wingers. You need a striker. Everton, the only one it makes sense to is Everton. Why they haven't accepted it yet, actually, I have no idea. And Gordon, you're guaranteed a start at Everton. You're 21, playing for your boyhood club, and you want to leave so desperately for an England cap? It just makes no sense to me whatsoever. I think you've got to question the people that's advising him around him. Are they giving him the best advice? I'm not sure. And let's go on to, well, the biggest result of the weekend, and a result made many FPL players very unhappy, apart from me. Did put in Roberto Firmino in my team, was going to triple captain him, until it didn't let me because I already played my wild card. Yeah, put him in, got me 22 points. But yeah, shocking from Bournemouth, disgrace. Liverpool were fantastic. Great goal by Harvey Elliott. Liverpool are back, or is it just Bournemouth? To finish, here is my fantasy Premier League team. Yeah, quite happy with how this week went. Quite a good week for me. Obviously, the Roberto Firmino transfer was great. Very great. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe if you are new and you want more videos. And thank you for watching.